Welcome back to the channel. We're going to go over noise reduction today. There's a few different ways you can get to it. You do have the option on the edit page under effects if you type in noise, and under the magnifying glass if you have all folders, you can get the resolve effects revival. And there's noise reduction that you can drag and drop onto your clip here, and then you'll get essentially the same parameters as you would on the color page. The color page is a little bit more flexible. So let's hop over there and I'll show you what it looks like. So I have a basic node here. It's reset. Down on our color page, we usually start out on our primary wheels, but we're going to move over here to the last icon, and this is our noise reduction motion effects tab. Now, if you have the studio version, you'll have a few other options here. We'll go over these ones first, the starting point. And the reason I like this is it's just a little more flexible in the numbers and the controls down in this panel. So let's go ahead and analyze this clip a little bit. Pull this over so we can see a little bit more. So I have a single node. It's always good to do your noise reduction on the first node. That way, if you have nodes downstream, you're going to have this recache anytime you make a change if it's feeding later on in the node tree. So if you got a bunch of color changes, the noise reduction node will have to re-render every time you make a slight adjustment. Don't say that's a rule, but it does help with keeping your noise reduction intact without having to re-render the node. So let's start off with the temporal noise reduction. We have the amount of frames it's going to use to do the noise reduction. So for now, I'll choose 2. And then that gives us the motion estimate type. We have faster, better, and none. Better is usually cleaner. And then we have motion range, whether we want it to be large, medium, or small. You'll have to experiment with these different results depending on how bad your footage is. And then nothing's going to kick in until we start adjusting the thresholds here. So by default, the luminance and chrominance are linked with this little chain here. So depending on what you're working on, one might actually clean it up better than the other. And here on the color page, we can actually view these other channels with this little drop down here. So we have show viewer channels, and by default, it's on RGB, but if we hit R, there's our red channel. So we can kind of evaluate the noise in the red. And same thing, let's go over to the green. So you can see there's quite a bit of a difference there. And then we'll go down to the blue channel. Usually the green channel has quite a bit of stuff going on. But that's a good way to look at it. So it's not just black and white. You're just looking at the individual channels that are making up the full signal. For now, let's go ahead and adjust this and keep an eye on the background, kind of in this window here and in front of the actor. So I'll slide this up and we'll go too far. You can see how much it softens it. I'll use Command D to shut this node on and off. You could see the smearing of the background, but it does quite a great job of getting rid of the graininess, and that might not always be what you're looking for. So let's go ahead and reduce this back to 0. We'll delink them, and I'll just slide the luma. So you can see that's just got a little more subtle breakdown on just the highlights in the scene. And then let's choose chroma, which is going to be more the colored areas. You can see the vector scope here. Watch the saturation level as we move this back and forth. So you can see it kind of just smearing it. So pay attention to what it's doing because you don't want to actually cause a degradation of your footage. But it's a good way to get to know what's actually going on in your footage. Let's go ahead and crank this back up. So now we can see it's extreme. And then we have a blend. So the further to the right, the less all this is active. And if it blends down to 0, it means full noise reduction. And you can experiment with the frames. I'm going to go back to 0. So now we're back to a default state. I'm going to go ahead and reset this node. Now let's go over to spatial noise reduction. So these you can use in combination, but I want to show you the controls on each of these. So as per usual, we have faster and better. And then if you have studio, I believe you get enhanced and ultra noise reduction. You might have enhanced on the free version, but I can't remember. Let's start off with faster first. So once again, keeping an eye on this grainy footage behind the actor, we'll slide up. You can see this one actually is giving almost like a mosaic or Gaussian blur. So it looks pretty terrible when you go 100. You can see a huge difference between temporal and spatial. And then let's go ahead and slide them with the delink off. So there, all the luminance, it just looks bad. Chrominance, a little smoother. Now let's try the better. And we'll go ahead and do the slider test here. So that does look quite a bit better. A lot less banding and grading. Radius is kind of like how big it's going to evaluate the scene, and that'll make more sense when we move to the ultra. Let's go ahead and try it on medium, and we'll move our sliders So that one to me isn't giving as good of a result. And then let's go to large, just see what it does. So in this case, I actually like small, find a good happy medium here. So let's reset this and we'll show you guys the ultra noise reduction. Now this one is an AI-based neural engine. So what we're going to do is hit analyze and you'll see this little box pops up. And I'm not sure if it picks a spot like directly center on its own, but you can move this around and give it a wider search field by opening up this panel here. And then you can reset it. You can also hit analyze, pull it around. And as you can see, when you drop it around, it is making its own determination on the luma and chrominance sliders based on what it's seeing in the scene. As you can see, it's cleaning it up quite drastically and does a really good job. So you can use that and keep that on. And you could also use a combination of the temporal. And then we have motion blur. So for now, I'll reset spatial once again. We're going to reset this node and we'll move over to the motion blur and I'll go better and we'll kind of crank it up a little bit. And let's see what it looks like on this clip. So see if I delete on and off, you can see the background's kind of warping a little bit. So if we go small and change this to better, slide it up a little bit, and then in conjunction with the motion blur, that should smooth this out on playback. So there's the difference. And then if we added the spatial noise reduction once again for ultra, hit analyze, kind of like it over here in this more general on the actor. And then if we toggle this on and off, which you could do this little link right here, now you can see what it looks like. Now this is an effect that has to cache. So if we look over on our node here, we have this NR is red. And then when it turns blue, that means it's finished caching. And you can control that by right-clicking on your node. There's a drop-down called Node Cache. You can have it on and off if you just got a lot going on and it's bogging your system down, or you can leave it on auto. So now it's taken these settings, added it to this clip. Again, we should be getting smooth. So there it is on and off. Quite a bit of a difference. The motion blur looks pretty good, while it's in motion. It's pretty easy to spot if we're stepping frame by frame, but that's sort of what this tool does. So that is a basic overview of all the motion effects that you can use on the color page. And as I said, it is available here. It's the same thing if we were to throw it on here. And now you have like a default setting that pops up. You have some of the same things. You do have ultra noise reduction. And as long as you're on Open Effects Overlay, that'll pop up. I'm going to say it works the same, but let's hit analyze. We'll hit show patch. So we still got that. So in a way, we're doubling down here. One on the edit page and one on the color page. So there's a difference with the fusion and color bypassed. And then here's the difference if we just bypass this clip. So you can actually run it on the clip and the node. But now it's starting to look kind of soft. I wouldn't double down on it. But it is available as an effect within the drop down here to use a clip based instead. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.